Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking what might seem like dry business concepts and turning them into an active, dynamic journey through the high-stakes world of food marketing. I am so thrilled you're joining me because we're going to look at the food industry in a way you've probably never considered before. Right out of the gate, we need to establish one critical thing. Selling food, it isn't just about making something tasty. It is a brutal competition. Survival out there depends entirely on navigating a massive obstacle course made up of trends, rules, and, well, consumer whims. Successfully dodging and weaving through these challenges is absolutely crucial for literally any business trying to thrive and keep their competitive edge in today's market. So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the food marketing minefield. Second, navigating trends and demographics. Third, the risks of false claims. Fourth, 8 modern industry hurdles. Fifth, ethics in food promotion. And finally, number 6, the advertising rulebook. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the food marketing minefield. You know, the value of a brand just cannot be overstated. People buy names. They don't buy products. And this is incredibly true even with stuff that goes bad, like perishable food. Some companies are just so successful that their brand names become universal. Think about Kool-Aid, right? It's literally the universal stand-in for any flavored drink mix. But finding the balance between grabbing a consumer's attention and actually harnessing that brand power, that's a constant tightrope walk. And honestly, this heavy reliance on massive established brand names is exactly what makes it so tremendously difficult for a new, lesser-known brand to even get a foot in the door of the food marketing industry. Moving on to Section 2, navigating trends and demographics. Okay, so targeting the exact right demographic requires some seriously deep psychographic insights into people's values, interests, and lifestyles. But there is a massive trap waiting here. It's the peril of jumping completely blindly onto the latest food fad versus the strategic necessity of long-term authenticity. Look, it's incredibly tempting to cash in on a sudden food craze. We've all seen them come and go. But while staying current is important, sinking significant resources into a passing fad without really evaluating if it has long-term viability can be completely disastrous. A smart business absolutely has to ask itself, does this new trend actually align with our long-term goals and values? That brings us to Section 3, the risks of false claims. We all see products lining the grocery shelves promising to make us healthier, right? But here's the catch. Unlike drugs and medical devices, which are rigorously tested for health and safety, the exact same isn't always true for food. The FDA and watchdog groups, like the Institute of Medicine, are constantly warning food companies against making unfounded claims. A marketer might just slap boosts immunity or low in cholesterol on a label, hoping to instantly capture a health-focused demographic. But if there is little to no solid scientific evidence backing that up, well, they are walking straight into a legal minefield. If just one consumer challenges that product, it could mean a massive, devastating lawsuit. So here is the crucial takeaway. Failing to navigate these claims, trends, and demographics triggers a cascading domino effect of catastrophic consequences. If a marketer drops the ball on these hurdles, they don't just lose a couple sales. No, they face a loss of market relevance. They lose their competitive edge. They suffer severe trust erosion. They dilute their brand entirely, and they suffer lasting reputation damage. It is an incredibly high-stakes game. Let's shift gears to Section 4, 8 modern industry hurdles. I want you to think about your own grocery habits for a second. This quote captures it perfectly. Today's consumers are flirtatious, constantly gazing for fun and variety. Basically, anything that surrounds us for too long just makes us jaded. Every single day, modern buyers demand quality, healthy food that somehow perfectly meets our need for convenience and our rapidly changing cultural shifts. Our collective palate can quite literally make or break the existence of these companies. Now, to survive this incredibly flirtatious consumer base, marketers are forced to rapidly dodge 8 major industry hurdles. Just think about how complex this puzzle is. Consumers are now actively avoiding the center of the store, where all the highly processed foods live. So marketers have to somehow balance clean labels with diet-friendly options, all while adapting to the massive rise of natural organic products. On top of that, they're forced to shift toward e-commerce, navigate a huge anti-sugar movement, constantly figure out how to add product value, and above all, they have to speed up their traditionally slow innovation cycles just to make everything way more convenient for us. These factors are quite literally changing the rules of the game constantly. Which leads us to Section 5, ethics in food promotion. Because of this fierce daily battle for market share and the raw pressure of corporate survival, companies are sometimes pushed toward practices that are, well, highly debated. Some marketers end up resorting to promotional tactics that spark really lively international debates regarding their ethics. And because these tactics can have real societal ill effects, regulatory authorities inevitably find themselves stepping in to implement necessary legislation. It really is this constant, intense push and pull between a business just trying to survive and the well-being of society as a whole. And that brings us perfectly to our final section, number 6, the advertising rulebook. Before we tour the 5 major battlegrounds of food marketing, we really need to understand the concept of promotional regulation. Put simply, these are the rules, guidelines, and standards established by regulatory authorities. And they exist purely to ensure that promotional content is fair, truthful, transparent, and crucially doesn't mislead or harm consumers. They are the guardrails that maintain the integrity of advertising, ensuring it remains a safe way to actually learn about products. Let's look at the first battleground, television. TV is still an absolute powerhouse medium, and food marketers use it heavily, very often targeting children. Because of this, regulators enforce strict, non-negotiable clauses. Companies are strictly forbidden from exploiting people's credulity. Ads absolutely cannot be harmful to physical, mental, or moral health. They can't make you feel inferior for not owning a product. And perhaps most importantly, they can't induce kids to unduly pressurize their parents into buying something. Now let's move to the second battleground to see how this invades our everyday lives, in-premises marketing. This is when marketers go directly into schools, colleges, or offices to promote products right where people naturally gather. Now, in schools, this is massively controversial. Why? Because you often see items like soft drinks or instant noodles, things lacking minimum nutritional value, being pushed right in the hallways via signage or event sponsorships. To fight this, strict restrictions are used. Schools might demand advanced parental consent or require that the marketing has a clear educational objective. In Japan, they take it to a whole other level. Get this. The meal provided under the official school lunch program is literally the only food allowed to be eaten on school premises. The third battleground is sponsorship. Here, food companies throw funds at major sporting or musical events in return for commercial exposure. It's a goldmine, offering immense global reach at a lower cost than standard ads. A marketer might even try to influence the event's content to squeeze out more publicity. But regulators actively step in here as well. They draw hard boundaries. For instance, outright banning the sponsorship of children's programs, or making sure the sponsor doesn't aggressively push the purchase of their specific products during the event itself. Our fourth battleground is one we all know well: internet marketing. The web has turned the entire world into a single global village, allowing cross-border marketing to hit consumers everywhere. And the absolute ideal target group here? Young people, because they browse for much longer durations. Marketers deploy interactive games, flashy graphics, competitions, and downloadable content to hook teenagers, and subsequently collect their personal data for future promotions. Because this landscape is expanding so fast, statutory guidelines and self-regulatory codes are leaning heavily into data collection and consumer protection, even though a lot of these rules are still just in their budding stages. Finally, our fifth battleground: influencer marketing. Today, the food industry and digital influencers are just completely intertwined. People with massive social media followings hold incredible power. They can totally sway our purchasing decisions through unique recipes, restaurant reviews, or hyping up specialty diets. By partnering with these influencers, businesses tap right into highly engaged, loyal audiences. But this also means influencers have to carefully address critical promotional regulations, making sure they maintain absolute transparency whenever they are endorsing a product to their followers. So we've walked through this brutal obstacle course, right? From leveraging major brands and dodging false claims to jumping over modern consumer hurdles and navigating some seriously strict advertising regulations. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to reflect on your own daily food choices. When you're walking down the grocery aisle or mindlessly scrolling through your social feed, ask yourself, who is actually setting the rules of this incredible obstacle course? Is it the massive, powerful food marketers, or is it you, the flirtatious consumer? Definitely keep that in mind the next time you pick up that newly trending snack. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep asking questions.